Dominic Wexler thought he had everything. He had lots of money, a big job, and lived in a tall building with a beautiful view. But one day, something surprising happened. He saw someone from his past, his ex-wife, and with her was a young man he had never met before. That young man looked just like him. If you like this story, please press the like button. It helps more people find stories like this. Write a comment too, and don't forget to subscribe to Fiction of Peace. Here, we don't just tell love stories. We tell stories that help you feel, think, and maybe even heal. Dominic stood in front of the mirror in his office. He was 48 years old and wore a fancy silk tie. He had many nice suits, many expensive cars, and a big office high above the city. Everything looked perfect in his life. His assistant's voice came from the speaker. "Mr. Wexler, your table is ready at L'Amazon at 8 p.m. "Thank you, Sarah," Dominic said and grabbed his jacket. He was going to eat alone again, like always. He told himself he liked it that way. The restaurant was full of fancy people. The host took Dominic to his usual table. He sat down and looked at the wine list. Then he heard something. A laugh. A very familiar laugh. He looked up and saw her. Angela. She was his first love, the woman he had married and the woman he had left 23 years ago. She looked even more beautiful now. Her smile was the same. But what really shocked him was the young man sitting next to her. He looked like Dominic. He had the same green eyes, the same face, and even moved the same way. "Would you like to order, sir?" the waiter asked. Dominic didn't answer. He was thinking about the day he left Angela. They were poor and having a hard time. Dominic had big dreams. He thought he couldn't have them if he stayed married. So he left. He didn't know Angela was pregnant. Suddenly, Dominic stood up. He walked toward their table. Each step felt heavy. Angela saw him first. Her smile disappeared. The young man saw her face change and turned around. "Angela," Dominic said, trying to stay calm, "it's been a long time." Angela sat up straight. She moved her hand closer to her son. "Dominic, I didn't think I'd see you here." The young man looked confused. "Mom, who is this?" When he said the word mom, Dominic felt it in his heart. "Who is this?" Dominic asked, even though he already knew. Angela spoke clearly. "This is Jalen, my son." She paused. "Our son." The room started to spin for Dominic. He held onto a chair. Why didn't you tell me?" Angela gave a short, angry laugh. "Tell you? You disappeared, Dominic. You changed your phone number. You left us." Jalen stood up fast. His chair made a loud noise. "Wait, this is him? This is my dad?" The word dad felt strange to Dominic. He had a son, and he never knew. Angela said softly, "I think you should go. This is not the place." But Jalen stopped her. "No, Mom. I want to hear what he has to say." He turned to Dominic. "Why did you leave?" Dominic opened his mouth, but he didn't know what to say. How could he explain that he was scared, that he chose money instead of love? "I made a mistake," Dominic finally said. "A mistake?" Jalen said loudly, "Is that what you call leaving your wife and your baby?" People in the restaurant were now watching. Angela stood and touched Jalen's arm. "Not here, honey. Let's go." As they got ready to leave, Dominic said, "Please, can we talk tomorrow? I want to explain." Angela looked at him. "That's not my choice now. It's up to Jalen." Jalen took out his phone and gave it to Dominic. "Put your number in. I'll think about it." Dominic's hands shook as he typed his number. When their fingers touched, he felt something like a strong connection. As they walked away, Jalen looked back. His face was full of questions and feelings. Dominic sat down again, but he couldn't look at the menu anymore. His world had changed. He had a son who didn't know him, a son who looked at him like a stranger. The waiter came again. "Sir, are you ready to order?" Dominic stood up. "No, I'm not ready at all." Angela's hands shook as she tried to unlock the front door. Jalen walked behind her, angry and confused. 22 years, Jalen said, and he just shows up like that. They walked into the house. The walls were full of pictures. Jalen's first day of school, his graduation, and more. All the moments Dominic had missed. "Sit down, honey." Angela said. We need to talk. Jalen ran his hands through his hair. He looked just like his dad when he did that. Angela noticed. Why didn't you ever tell me about him? Jalen asked. Because he left, Angela said. He said he wanted more from life, and then he was gone. No phone, no address. But you knew he became rich, right? Angela nodded. Yes, I saw his name in the news, but we had our own life. You didn't need his money. Far away, Dominic sat in his office. It was dark. He had a glass of drink, but he didn't touch it. He kept looking at his phone, hoping Jalen would call. His assistant's voice came on. Mr. Wexler, it's almost midnight. Should I call your driver? No, Sarah. Go home. He opened his computer and searched for Jalen. He saw pictures. Jalen playing basketball, helping people, and graduating. Each photo made Dominic's heart hurt. Back at home, Jalen looked at his phone and saw the new contact. Dominic Wexler. He looked surprised, Jalen said, like he really didn't know about me. He didn't, Angela said. I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks after he left. But why didn't you try to tell him? Angela took Jalen's hands. When he left, I was sad. But when I knew I was going to have you, I had a reason to smile again. I went to school, started a business, and took care of you. I wasn't going to beg a man who walked away. Jalen walked to the wall with the pictures. I'm going to call him. Maybe not tonight, but soon. I need answers. In his office, Dominic picked up an old photo. It was from his wedding day with Angela. They looked young and happy. But now he only saw someone who had run away. His phone buzzed. A message. Coffee tomorrow. 10 a.m. at the Daily Grind on 7th. Jalen. His hands shook as he replied, I'll be there. At home, Jalen showed his mom the messages. Are you sure about this? Angela asked. No, Jalen said, but I've wondered all my life. Now I can find out. Angela watched her son go to bed. She picked up a photo of his graduation. They had made a good life together. Then she picked up her phone. Lisa, it's Angela. Can I use your law office tonight? I need to look at some papers. As the night went on, 3 people couldn't sleep. Jalen lay in bed, thinking about his dad. Dominic sat in his office, looking at old photos. Angela sat in her friend's office, going through papers, old wedding papers, a letter she never sent. Tomorrow would change everything. The next morning, Dominic got to the coffee shop early. He didn't want people to see him. He sat in a corner and waited. At exactly 10 a.m., Jalen walked in. He looked different in regular clothes, but his green eyes were the same. You're early, Jalen said. Your mom said I used to be late for everything, Dominic said. Jalen looked at his fancy suit. Yeah, the man my mom knew couldn't pay for big dinners. A waitress came and Jalen asked for black coffee. Then Jalen asked, why did you leave? Dominic had practiced this answer all night, but now the words felt weak. I was young and didn't know better, he said. We were poor. I had big dreams. I thought I was holding your mom back. I thought she deserved better. So you just left? Jalen asked. His voice was calm, but his hands were tight. I told her I needed time, but I was scared. The longer I stayed away, the harder it was to come back. The waitress brought coffee. Jalen held the cup but didn't drink. Did you ever think about her? About what happened to her? Dominic took out his phone and showed Jalen an old news article from 15 years ago. He pushed the phone across the table. The headline said, Rising Star in Education, Angela Williams opens third youth center. I watched her from far away, Dominic said. I saw how amazing she was. She helped so many children. She did it all without me. Jalen gave a bitter laugh. You think that makes it okay? That just because she succeeded, it's fine you left her? No, it's not okay, Dominic said. Did you know she worked 2 jobs while getting her degree? That she skipped meals so I could have school supplies? Every Father's Day, she took me to the park so I wouldn't feel sad when other kids were with their dads. Every word felt like a punch to Dominic's heart. The coffee shop suddenly felt too small. I'm so sorry, Jalen. If I had known about you, I would have... What? Stayed? Sent money? Been a dad? Yes, Dominic said seriously. All of that. But you didn't even try to find out, you just disappeared. Jalen took out a photo from his wallet. It was old and folded. This is from my high school graduation. Mom took me to Burger King because that's what we could afford. That same week, I saw your picture in the newspaper. You were opening a fancy hotel. Dominic looked at the photo. Jalen wore a graduation gown, and Angela stood beside him, smiling. They looked happy even though he had been gone. I want to make things right, Dominic said. I know I can't change the past, but maybe I can be in your life now. Jalen stayed quiet for a while. Then he said, I'm opening a youth center in the Bronx, like Mom. But the building needs a lot of work, and banks won't give me money. I can help, Dominic offered quickly. I don't want your money, Jalen said. I want you to understand what you missed, what you left behind. Jalen stood up. I'm having dinner with Mom's family on Sunday, her brothers, my cousins, the people who were there for us. Come meet them, see the family you left. Dominic felt nervous. They must hate me. They do, Jalen said, but Mom taught me to believe in second chances. This is yours. Don't waste it. He placed a card with the dinner address and time on the table. And don't wear a suit. We're not that kind of family. When Jalen left, Dominic looked at the card. The address was in a quiet neighborhood like where he had lived long ago. His phone buzzed. Meeting with investors at 2 p.m. For the first time, Dominic typed back, reschedule. Then he drove to his old neighborhood. He parked his fancy car and walked the same streets he had once walked with Angela. Every step brought memories. In his pocket, the dinner invite felt heavy. Sunday could be a new beginning or a sad ending. Dominic didn't know which scared him more. At Angela's house, she almost dropped her casserole dish when Jalen told her he had invited Dominic. You did what? She asked. He needs to see what he missed, Mom, Jalen said. Uncle James and Uncle Mike need to see him too. Everything needs to come out. Your uncles won't like it, Angela warned. They were there when she trailed off. When what? When I found out I was pregnant, when I couldn't pay rent, when I needed a ride to the hospital, they were there. In his big closet, Dominic looked at all his suits. Jalen said no suit, but that's all Dominic owned. Finally, he found old jeans and a plain shirt. They felt strange, like they didn't belong to him. His phone rang. It was his brother, Thomas. Rick, where are you? The investors from Dubai are waiting. I'm not coming in today, Dominic said. It's family. What family? You haven't had a family in years. Dominic hung up. At Angela's house, people began arriving. Uncle James came first with his wife, Maria, then Uncle Mike and his kids, the people who helped raise Jalen. Where's my favorite nephew? James said, hugging Jalen. Uncle James, there's something I need to tell you. The doorbell rang. A black Mercedes was parked outside. The room went quiet. Is that who I think it is? James asked. I invited him, Jalen said. You did what? James started walking to the door, angry. Let him in, Angela said. Dominic stood at the door with a bottle of wine. He almost brought flowers, but remembered Angela didn't like them. James stood tall, blocking the way. You've got some nerve. Where were you when she slept on our couch? When she worked double shifts while pregnant? When Jalen needed braces? Dominic gripped the wine bottle tightly. I didn't know. You didn't want to know, Mike added. You disappeared. Then we see you in newspapers getting richer while Angela struggled. I asked him to come, Jalen said. It's my choice. Angela came out. She looked at Dominic. Really looked at him. Put the wine in the kitchen, she said. Dinner's almost ready. Everyone sat at the table. Dominic sat next to an empty chair. Family photos were on the walls. He wasn't in any of them. Jalen tells us you're in real estate, Maria said, trying to be nice. Yes, Dominic said. I build things. Really? Mike said with a mean voice. Because I thought you were better at breaking things. Mike, not at the table, Angela warned. No, he needs to hear this, Mike said. You missed Jalen's first steps. His first word was mama. You missed his first basketball game. James taught him how to play. Every word hurt Dominic, but he kept listening. He needed to. You missed the hard times, too. Angela cried at night. Jalen asked why he didn't have a dad. One Christmas, we all had to pitch in to buy him a bike. Dominic looked at his food but didn't eat. I can't change the past, he said. No, James said, but you can explain. Dominic looked at Jalen, then Angela. I was scared, he said. Scared of failing, of not being good enough. We were so young. I thought I had to become rich first. I told myself I was doing the right thing by leaving. But I was wrong. I was a coward. He took out an old wedding photo from his wallet. I told myself you deserved better, Angela, but the truth is I missed you both every day. Angela didn't speak, but her hand moved toward him for a moment. Jalen picked up the photo. Mom never kept any pictures of you. I used to look around the house for one. I have more, Dominic said quickly. Photos, letters, everything. I kept them all. Why? Angela asked softly. Because they were the only real part of my life. The silence in the room felt different now. Softer. Maria began passing food. Slowly, people started eating. The stories changed too. They were about good memories now. Jalen's first day at school, the time he tried to paint Angela's car, his college scholarship. Dominic listened to every word. He saw how these people were more than just support. They were real family, the family he had left. The next morning, Dominic sat in his office. His desk was full of papers, but he didn't touch them. He looked out at the big city buildings. His assistant called, Mr. Wexler, the board is waiting. Cancel it, he said. Cancel everything. He opened his laptop and searched youth centers in the Bronx. He wanted to understand Jalen's dream, not as business, but as a father. Angela sat at her own youth center trying to do paperwork, but her mind kept going back to last night. Her secretary walked in. James is here. James brought her coffee. You okay? That was some dinner. Angela smiled a little. I keep thinking about Jalen, how he looked at those old photos Dominic brought. He has a right to know his father, James said, even if his father was no good. Angela looked at her brother. He's trying for Jalen. Are you ready for what that means? Before she could answer, her phone buzzed. A message from Jalen, meeting Dad for lunch. He wants to see the youth center site. Angela stared at the word, Dad. It felt strange. Meanwhile, Jalen stood in front of an old building in the Bronx. It was broken and covered in graffiti, but he saw something special. A black Mercedes pulled up, looking out of place. Dominic wore simple clothes today, just slacks and a polo shirt. He looked at the old building and asked, Is this it? Yes, this is it, Jalen said. It needs a lot of fixing, but it has good bones, like the first center Mom built. Dominic walked around the building. He looked at it carefully like a builder. The foundation is strong. The wires need to be changed. The heating and cooling system is broken, he said. Then, he asked Jalen, what do you want to do with it? Jalen smiled. I want to put a basketball court in the back, a computer lab upstairs, rooms for talking with counselors, and rooms where kids can get help with school. I want kids to feel safe and special here, just like Mom made you feel. Like Mom helped hundreds of kids, Dominic said softly. Jalen frowned. While you were making fancy houses for rich people, he said. Dominic looked hurt but didn't say anything. Banks won't give me a loan, Jalen added. They think this place is too risky and too broken. Dominic pulled out his phone and started writing notes. I know people who can help. They owe me favors. No, Jalen stopped him. I told you I don't want your money. Then what do you want? Dominic asked. I want you to understand, Jalen said loudly. Mom built her centers with hard work and help from people who believed in her. No rich people. That's what I want too. Dominic was quiet for a moment. Then he said, what if I don't use my money or my friends? What if I help just as your dad? Jalen didn't look at him. There's a community meeting tonight. Local families and helpers will be there. Come listen. Learn why this place matters. At her office, Angela was looking through old files when she found something that made her heart stop. It was an old yellow envelope with Dominic's name on it. She had written this letter long ago when she found out she was having Jalen. Her hands shook as she opened it. The letter said, "Dear Dominic, today I found out we're having a baby. Part of me wants to be mad at you for leaving, but I also hope this baby will bring you back. Our child deserves a father." The letter was full of hope, fear, and love, but she never sent it. She had been too proud to ask him to come back. Then her phone rang. It was Jalen. "Mom, Dad is coming to the meeting tonight. I thought maybe you should come too." Angela looked at the old letter in her hands. "I'll be there," she said. That evening, the meeting room was full of families. Dominic came early and sat quietly in the back. He watched Jalen talk to everyone, asking about their kids and jobs, just like Angela used to do. When Angela walked in, the room changed. Everyone knew her and respected her. She was a hero to them, the single mom who made something amazing. Dominic sank in his chair, feeling sad about what he had missed. Jalen began the meeting and showed his plans for the youth center. Dominic saw not just his son, but the good man he had become. That was all because of Angela. After the meeting, Dominic walked up to them. "I've been thinking," he said, "about what you said, Jalen, about doing things the right way." He took a deep breath. "I want help, not as a rich builder, but as your father, if you'll let me." Jalen looked at Angela. She gave a small nod. "The building needs a lot of fixing," Jalen said. "Real work. Can you do that?" Dominic looked at his soft hands and said, "I can learn." "We're starting cleanup Sunday at 8 in the morning," Jalen said. "Uncle James and Uncle Mike will be there." Dominic nodded. He knew this wasn't just about fixing a building. It was about fixing what he broke 23 years ago. Angela stayed behind. She watched Dominic and Jalen leave together, talking about the building. The old letter in her purse felt heavy. Maybe she didn't need to say those words anymore. But when she saw Dominic gently pat Jalen's shoulder and Jalen leaning into it just a little, she thought maybe healing was possible. Sunday morning came fast. Dominic looked at himself in the mirror. He wore new work clothes from the store. He had never owned clothes like this before. His phone buzzed. It was his brother Thomas. "Emergency meeting with the Chinese investors. We need you." For the first time, Dominic replied, "Handle it yourself. I have a family promise." He got to the youth center at 7:45, his shiny Mercedes out of place next to old trucks. James and Mike were already there with tools. "Well, look who showed up," Mike said. "Better late than never." "He's on time, Uncle Mike," Jalen said, coming out with garbage bags. Dominic tried to help, but James stopped him. "First, safety lesson." They stood in a dusty room with broken furniture. Sunlight came through dirty windows. "Here's the plan," James said. "We clean up all this junk. Watch out for sharp things. This isn't your fancy office, Dominic. You can get hurt." Dominic nodded and put on gloves. They felt stiff and strange on his hands. They got to work. Jalen and Mike went upstairs. Dominic worked with James. Angela would bring lunch later. After an hour, Dominic was covered in dust and sweat. His hands hurt, but he didn't stop. He kept going, thinking about the times he hadn't been there for Jalen. "Taking a break already?" James asked. "No," Dominic said. "I'm good." James saw him struggling with a big desk. "You're lifting it wrong. Use your legs, not your back." Jalen learned that when he worked with me at the moving company. He helped pay for his school clothes. Upstairs, Jalen and Mike could hear them. "Your dad's softer than a pillow," Mike said. "He won't last." Jalen looked down through a hole in the floor. He saw Dominic wipe his face and go back to work. "Maybe," Jalen said, "but he's here." At noon, Angela came with food. The men sat on old buckets to eat. Dominic's hands shook as he opened his sandwich. Angela gave him bandages for his blisters. Their hands touched for a moment. Cloth then pulled away quickly. "Just like old times," Mike said. "Remember fixing up Angela's first center? We worked every weekend. Jalen was a baby." "We put a playpen in the corner," James said. Dominic listened to their stories. He had missed so much. But now, James and Mike didn't look so angry. They looked like they felt sorry for him. After lunch, Jalen pulled Dominic aside. You can go if you want. You've proved your point. Dominic looked at him. I'm not here to prove anything. I'm here because I should have been here all along. The afternoon was harder. Dominic's body ached, but he didn't stop. He kept working even after the others left. Only he and Jalen were left, sorting trash. Why did you really come today? Jalen asked. Dominic put down the board he was holding. Because this is important to you, and I want to understand. Mom always says a building is more than walls and windows. It's about the lives you help inside. She's right, Jalen said. I've built many buildings, Dominic said, but I never thought about who lives in them, only the money I made. Jalen was quiet. There's more cleanup next Sunday. I'll be here, Dominic said. As they locked up, Dominic's phone buzzed again, more messages about work. He ignored them. When he saw his reflection in his car, he saw someone new. His clothes were ruined, his hands hurt, but he felt proud. At home, Angela looked at old photos of Jalen growing up. She wondered how those moments would have been if Dominic had been there. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Jalen. Dad stayed all day. He really worked hard. Dad. That word didn't hurt as much this time. In his fancy apartment, Dominic soaked in a hot bath. His hands were covered in bandages. He looked at a photo Jalen had sent, them standing in front of the cleaned-up junk. It wasn't much, but it was a beginning. He saved the photo. Then he did something new. He cleared his schedule for next Sunday. He was learning that some things were more important than money. On Monday, Dominic sat in his office looking at papers for his newest project. It would make him lots of money. But he could only think about the youth center's broken windows. Mr. Wexler, said his helper, Sarah, the board wants to know about the Chinese investors. Your brother says you haven't been answering. Sarah, how long have you worked for me? 12 years, sir. Have I ever asked about your family? No, sir. Do you have kids? Yes, 2 boys, 10 and 8. Go home today. Be with them. Sarah looked surprised. What about the board meeting? Tell them I'm changing my plans. Across town, Angela sat at her desk trying to work, but she kept thinking about Dominic and his bandaged hands. Lisa, her best friend, walked in. Tell me everything, Lisa said. Nothing to tell, Angela replied. Your ex-husband is back after 23 years and is bonding with your son, and you have nothing to say? Before Angela could answer, her phone buzzed. A message from Jalen. Dad's coming to my big meeting tonight. Is that okay? Angela showed Lisa the message. How do you feel about that? Lisa asked. Angela walked to the window. She looked at the playground she built. For 23 years, it was just me and Jalen, she said. Now Dominic is trying to be a dad, and Jalen is letting him. Are you afraid of losing him? Maybe. I don't know. Angela turned to her friend and said, You should see them together, Lisa. They have the same way of laughing and moving. Sometimes when I look at them, I see the family we could have been. The family you still could be, Lisa said. Angela quickly said, No. Dominic made his choice. People change, Lisa said softly. You believe in second chances. That's what your centers are all about, right? At his office, Dominic wasn't calling big business people. He was calling people who could help Jalen get his youth center built. He wasn't trying to cheat or trick anyone. He just wanted to understand what needed to be done. Suddenly, his brother Thomas ran into the office, holding a paper. What is this? You're pulling out of the Shanghai deal? It's not the right time, Dominic said calmly. Not the right time? That deal is worth $1 billion. There are more important things than money, Thomas. Thomas looked at him like he didn't recognize his own brother. Who are you? And what have you done with my brother? Dominic picked up a framed magazine. It showed him standing in front of a tall building. The title read, Real Estate's Rising Star. Did you know Jalen got a full scholarship to college? Dominic asked. He did it through hard work and helping others. He's brilliant, Thomas, and I missed it all. That night, the community meeting room was full. Jalen stood at the front, sharing his plan for the youth center. Dominic sat in the back next to Angela. They both watched their son with proud hearts. "The building needs a lot of repairs," Jalen said, "but the foundation is strong, just like our community." One person on the board asked, "How will you pay for the repairs?" "With grants, community fundraisers, and..." Jalen looked at Dominic. "Hard work. Volunteers have already started cleaning." Another person said, "I see Dominic Wexler is here. Is his company helping with this project?" Everyone looked at Dominic. He stood up and said clearly, "I'm not here as a developer. I'm here as Jalen's father. This is his dream. I'm just here to support him. This isn't about money. It's about giving back to the place that raised my son." Angela gasped softly. Jalen looked so happy and surprised. After the meeting, the three of them stood in the parking lot. It was a warm night like the ones when Dominic and Angela were young and in love. "That was a big speech," Angela said gently. "I meant every word," Dominic said. Jalen checked his phone. "Uncle James wants to know if you're still coming Sunday. He has more windows for you to fix." Dominic laughed, then touched his back. "I'll be there." As Jalen walked to his car, Angela turned to Dominic. "You're really serious about this, aren't you?" "I can't change the past, Angela, but I can try to be the father he deserves now, the father I should have always been." Angela looked at him for a long moment. Then she opened her purse and took out a USB drive. "What's this?" Dominic asked. "Videos," she said softly. "Jalen's first steps, his first words, school plays, basketball games. I recorded everything." Dominic looked at the USB like it was treasure. "Take it home," Angela said. "Watch it. See what you missed. Then decide if you're really ready to be a father." Dominic put the drive in his pocket. His phone buzzed with messages. He ignored them all. That night, Dominic sat alone in his big, fancy home. He watched video after video of Jalen growing up. Tears rolled down his face. He saw 23 years of moments he had missed. There was baby Jalen, wobbling as he tried to walk. Angela cheered him on. There was 7-year-old Jalen, dressed as George Washington in a school play, forgetting his lines until Angela whispered the words. There was 12-year-old Jalen scoring a basketball goal, lifted by Uncle James while Uncle Mike filmed. There was teenage Jalen getting his scholarship, thanking his mom for always believing in him. In every video, Dominic noticed something. Jalen always looked around the crowd for someone who wasn't there. He was looking for his dad. Suddenly, Dominic's phone rang. It was Thomas. "The board is calling a special meeting. They're worried. You're acting strange. You dropped the Shanghai deal, skipped meetings." "I'm making changes," Dominic said, his voice rough. "Changes. You're obsessed with this son of yours." "He's not an obsession, Thomas. He's my child. My child who had to learn to shave from his uncles because I wasn't there." At the youth center, Angela was looking through old pictures when Jalen walked in. "Mom, you okay? You look tired." Angela smiled. "Just thinking. I gave your father the videos." Jalen sat down. "All of them?" "All of them. I wanted him to understand what being a father means." "Are you worried?" Jalen asked. Before she could answer, her secretary came in. "Miss Williams, someone is here to see you." Dominic stood in the doorway. He looked tired. His neat look was gone. "I'll give you 2 a minute," Jalen said. He hugged his dad before leaving. Dominic hugged him back tightly. Dominic sat across from Angela and put the USB on her desk. "I watched every second. I threw it all away." "That wasn't the point," Angela said. "Yes, it was. You wanted me to see what I missed, not just with you, but with him. I saw you at the scholarship ceremony. You looked tired. Were you working 2 jobs then?" Angela looked away. "We managed." "You shouldn't have had to just manage. James and Mike were always there. They were the fathers he needed. I ran away." "There was one video," Dominic said. "Jalen was about 6. He asked why other kids had daddies, and he didn't. You told him his daddy went away to build big buildings. You protected me." "I protected him," Angela said. "He needed to believe something better than the truth. I built empty buildings," Dominic said, "while you built something real. A family. A strong man. I want to help now. I'm blocking every Sunday in my calendar for the youth center. Angela looked at him. That's not enough, is it? No, Dominic said. Watching those videos hurt. I missed too much. How do I make up for that? Angela opened a drawer and pulled out an old envelope. I wrote this when I found out I was pregnant. I was going to send it to you, but I never did. Dominic read the letter with shaking hands. It was full of love and hope. You kept this? I kept everything, even though I told myself I moved on. I don't deserve forgiveness, Dominic said. Maybe not, Angela said, but Jalen is giving you a chance. He gets that from me. I should go, Dominic said. I have a board meeting. I'm stepping down as CEO. What? I'll still own the company, but Thomas can run it. I want to focus on what matters. As he left, Angela said, that video of Jalen at 6. I didn't just protect you. I protected myself. It hurt to think you chose buildings over us. I didn't choose buildings, Dominic said. I chose fear, and that made me lose everything. He walked out past the photos on her wall, pictures of smiling kids, proud moments. That was real success. In his car, Dominic opened his calendar again. He added another note. Every Thursday, lunch with Jalen. The news spread fast. Dominic stepping down shocked everyone. Thomas told the board, he's gone crazy. All this for a kid he left years ago. But Dominic wasn't watching the news. He was at the youth center, helping James put in windows. His soft hands now had blisters and calluses. His fancy watch was locked in the car. You're all over the news, James said. Let them talk. Let them talk, Dominic said. For once, I'm thinking clearly. Inside, Jalen gave a tour to donors. This room will be a computer lab. Over here, a counseling room. Every kid will know they matter. One woman asked, is it true your father is Dominic Wexler? Before Jalen could answer, Dominic walked in, dusty and smiling. I'm just the handyman. This is Jalen's dream. I'm just here to help. Later, Angela brought lunch. She saw Dominic and James chatting like old friends. The news says you're throwing away your legacy, she said. No, Dominic said, looking around. I'm building one worth having. That evening, Jalen had more news. The city gave us the permit, and donors gave us enough money for the first part of the renovation. Angela hugged him. That's wonderful. There's more, Jalen said. They want to name the building the Williams Youth Center, after you, Mom, for everything you've done. Angela's eyes were full of tears. Dominic saw them as she and Jalen hugged. He felt proud, but also a little sad. It's perfect, he said softly. This is your mother's dream. Jalen looked at him. Actually, I was thinking, what if we call it the Williams Wexler Center? The room went quiet. Angela gasped a little. Jalen, no, Dominic said quickly. I don't deserve that. You're earning it now, Jalen said. Every Sunday, every time you show up here instead of sitting in your office, you're showing us you care. He looked at both of his parents. This place is about second chances, right? About family? Angela looked at Dominic's face. It was full of feelings. Jalen is right, she said, surprising herself. You're not the same man who left us. I don't deserve this, Dominic whispered. Maybe not, Angela said kindly, but grace means getting what we don't deserve and using it to become better. That night, after Jalen left, Dominic and Angela sat on the steps outside the new building. The street was quiet. The summer air was warm. Do you remember our first apartment? Angela asked suddenly. 3 blocks from here, Dominic said. Above the Chinese restaurant. Angela smiled. The whole place smelled like dumplings. You used to bring me takeout when I studied for finals. You were working so hard to finish your degree, Dominic said. I saw that same strength when you built your first youth center. I saw it in the videos. Angela stayed quiet for a bit. I used to dream that you'd see me on the news, read about the centers, and reach out. I didn't, Dominic said, sad. I was ashamed. Every time I saw you succeed, it reminded me of my biggest failure. Not just the divorce, but how I left you and our son. I was a coward. And now? Angela asked. Dominic looked at the building behind them. Now, I'm trying to be the man I should have been back then, the man our son believes I can be. Angela stood up and brushed off her clothes. Jalen wants us to have dinner. Tomorrow night? Just the three of us. Like a family. She paused at her car. Don't be late. As she drove away, Dominic sat on the steps for a while, looking at the building that meant so much. His phone buzzed. It was Thomas, probably with more business news. Dominic didn't answer. He opened his photo album instead. He saw pictures of the youth center being built, Jalen laughing with James, Angela bringing lunch, simple moments, normal life, moments he had missed for 23 years. But now there could be new ones, better ones. He stood up and looked at the sign, the Williams Wexler Youth Center building tomorrow. Together. Tomorrow sounded like a good place to begin. 6 months passed since they met again at the Leeson restaurant. The Williams Wexler Youth Center was now ready for its big opening. The old, broken building had become a bright, happy place for the community. Dominic stood in front of his closet. This time, he didn't choose a fancy suit. He picked the kind of clothes he wore every Sunday to help at the center. His phone didn't ring with calls anymore. Business reporters had stopped asking about his breakdown. Even Thomas had stopped asking him to come back as CEO. The opening ceremony was in 2 hours, but first, Dominic had somewhere else to go. Across town, Angela was in her office at her first youth center. She held an old letter, one she wrote 23 years ago but never sent. A knock on the door made her look up. "Ready?" Jalen asked, peeking in. Angela smiled at their son, just getting sentimental. They drove to a little Chinese restaurant just 3 blocks from the new center. Dominic was already there, sitting at a table near the window. The same table he and Angela had used when they were young. "You remembered," Angela said softly as she sat down. "Table 7, Dominic said. Best view of the street." The owner, Mr. Chen, was older now, but his eyes lit up. "Miss Angela, and this must be little Jalen, all grown up." "You know me?" Jalen asked, surprised. Mr. Chen laughed. "You were here before you were even born. Your mother came every day when she was expecting. Your father brought her." He paused when he saw Dominic. "Dominic Wexler," Mr. Chen said slowly. "After all these years," Dominic stood up and reached out his hand. "It's good to see you, Mr. Chen." Instead of shaking his hand, Mr. Chen gave Dominic a warm hug. "Welcome home, boy. Welcome home." During lunch, they talked about the past 6 months. Sunday work days had become special. Thursday lunches were now times for Jalen and Dominic to grow closer. Even James and Mike had started to accept Dominic, though they still gave him the toughest jobs. "Reporters keep asking why I stepped down," Dominic said, using chopsticks he had practiced with. "They don't understand. I didn't step down. I stepped up." "To being a father?" Jalen asked. "To being the man I should have been long ago," Dominic replied. Then he looked at Angela. "The man you once believed I could be." Angela's hand shook a little as she reached for her tea. "We were so young, too young to know what really mattered. I thought success meant building tall buildings and making lots of money," Dominic said. "But our son," his voice broke, "he showed me what true success looks like." Jalen looked at both his parents. He didn't just see them now. He saw who they used to be. 2 young people, in love, sitting at the same table, dreaming of a future. "Mom," Jalen said gently, "show him the letter." Angela's eyes went wide. "Jalen, please." "Please," he said again. With shaking hands, Angela pulled out the old yellow envelope. "I wrote this the day I found out I was pregnant," she said. "I wanted to send it to your father, but I didn't deserve it," Dominic said. "No," Angela said, "because I was scared. Scared you wouldn't come back. Even for our son. Scared to hope." She slid the letter across the table. Dominic had already read it once at her office, but now he read it again. The words of a young woman who had been full of love, fear, and hope, hoping for a future that never came. "I keep thinking," Dominic said, his voice soft, "about all the mornings I could have made you dumplings, all the nights I could have read him bedtime stories." "Stop," Jalen said gently. "We can't change the past, but this center, it's about the future. For kids like me." Kids with missing pieces who need a place to belong. Angela reached for Jalen's hand, then slowly gave her other hand to Dominic. He looked surprised, but he took it. "The center opens in 1 hour," she said. "Are you both ready?" The grand opening was full of people, families, donors, kids, neighbors. James and Mike stood proudly in front. Jalen walked to the podium. Dominic and Angela sat in the front row. Not quite a couple, but not strangers either. Jalen began to speak. The Williams Wexler Youth Center is more than just a building. It's a story of second chances, of healing, of family. He looked at his parents. "My mom taught me that family isn't just blood. It's about choosing to be there, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard." In the back of the crowd, Dominic saw Thomas watching quietly. "And my dad," Jalen said, making Dominic's heart stop, "taught me that it's never too late to make a new choice, to build something new from something old." After the ceremony, as people enjoyed snacks, Dominic found Angela standing in the new counseling room. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" she asked. "For letting me know our son, for saving that letter, for believing in second chances." Angela looked at him with kind eyes. "Do you remember what you said that last morning before you left?" Dominic nodded sadly. "I need to build something bigger than this." "And did you?" she asked. Dominic looked out the window. Jalen was showing kids the new basketball court. "Yes," he said softly, "but not the way I thought." Angela touched his arm gently. "We can't go back, Dominic." "I know," he said, "but maybe we can go forward, all of us." Before she could answer, Jalen called out to them, "The photographer's ready." They went outside. The three of them, mother, father, son, stood in front of the building. "Big smiles," the photographer said. 1, 2. Right before the picture was taken, Dominic's hand gently touched Angela's, and for the first time in 23 years, she didn't pull away. The future was still unwritten, but maybe, just maybe, the next chapter would be even better. The camera flashed, and above them, the sign sparkled in the sun. The Williams Wexler Youth Center building tomorrow. Together. Tomorrow had finally come. If this story touched your heart, please like this video. It helps more people find stories that matter. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel, Fiction of Peace, for more powerful stories every week.